everyone, my name is Jody and welcome to my channel, The Planner Pages Edit. Today I'm going to share the top 5 stationery and planner products that are currently trending on my desk right now. So sit back, grab a drink and a snack, and let's dive into some of the products that I'm currently getting the most use out of. It may come as no surprise to many of you regular viewers that I rotate my stationery products on a pretty regular basis. What I use depends on my week, the current season in my life, and what's going on personally and professionally. So right now, here are the facts. Number 1, it's fall. At least here in Colorado, it's fall. The leaves are changing, the nights are darker and longer, the daylight hours are shorter. Number 2, this particular week has been a mix of PTO and work for me, which means I have had some free time to spend doing things that I enjoy, but I also have to do some work. 3, I have a lot of long-term projects that I'm trying to keep track of, both at home and at work. So that means a lot of things aren't getting crossed off my to-do list right away. They're kind of sitting there as they work their way through the process. And of course, I feel like even with the time off, I'm still constantly on the go. So what does this all translate to on my desk besides total chaos? Well, in summary, the desire to find happiness in the little things while the world around me burns to the ground. But I digress. Let's start off with what's making me happy right now. And I'm going to start off with this beautiful fountain pen that's on my desk. Let me just zoom in for you. This is a Monteverde fountain pen, and it is a beautiful Regatta Sport. That is the name of the model, and it is made of carbon fiber, which means this is a pretty hefty pen. It's not going to break. You can feel the craftsmanship in the weight of the pen, and it's not too heavy when writing. At least I find it a very comfortable pen to write with. And so really, this has been giving me a lot of joy. Not only is it beautiful, but one thing that really attracted me to this is its magnetic cap. So that means it's going to close and post securely, and you're not even going to have to worry when you put it away about this cap coming off and getting ink all over your stuff. I just love it. And it makes for a really neat writing experience. As I like to say about this magnetic cap, there's literally no screwing around. As for the nib, I believe it is technically a fine nib, but I feel like it writes more like a medium. But let's just take a look at how this thing writes. So we're going to test this out on Cloth and Paper's fountain pen friendly paper. And I don't know the specifics about this paper in terms of its weight or thickness. They kind of keep those details a secret, but I will say that my experience writing on this has been really good with fountain pens. It's somewhat thick, but I think that also means it's not going to bleed through. But we'll test this out with the Regatta. So let's just do a few pieces, some writing here. Perfect. Very smooth. No feathering. Let's take a look. No bleeding. Oops. Yep, no bleeding, no ghosting. Pretty good paper and a beautiful, smooth writing experience. No railroading. It's perfect. And this is why I love writing with this pen. Not only is it pretty to look at, it has a nice magnetic cap, but it's just easy to write with. Super smooth. So I'm currently using this for note-taking and some journaling, and I really am enjoying it. Admittedly, though, part of the exceptional writing experience with this pen is due to the ink that I'm using. And that's the second thing on my desk this week that is giving me joy. and that is the Noodler's Southwest Sunset ink. Let me just zoom in so you can see the bottle a little better. For longtime Noodler's ink fans, you may remember this ink under its old name, Apache Sunset. They changed the name to Southwest Sunset a while ago, but it's the same color, just a different name. And there are a lot of things I like about this color, besides the fact that it's helping me get into the mood for fall. This color has just gorgeous shading, and when you use a medium nib or larger on your fountain pen, you can really notice that shading and those characteristics when you write. Even with this fine point nib, I'm seeing some of the shading when I write with this. But let's just do a quick color swatch so you can see this. Hopefully the camera is going to pick up on the beautiful subtleties of this ink. Look at that. You can see the shading. Hopefully you can see the shading. Just beautiful. It's like the colors moving on the paper. But there's one thing to note about this particular ink, and that is it does take a few minutes to fully dry. Now, for me, that is not a deal breaker. And when I was looking at all the reviews on the page for this ink, it wasn't a deal breaker for any of the other users. But it is something to note, right? Because if you fold your page too soon, you're going to get ink all over your page. So just keep in mind, if you do use this, it's going to require some time, some drying time. But I just think it's just, look at that. The shading is just beautiful. And it will show up on certain pens. The finer the nib, the harder you'll see the shading and be able to really appreciate the color. But with a pen that has a really good flow, you should be able to see it. You can sort of see it. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but my nib might be a little too fine. But definitely you would see it in a broad nib and probably even a medium nib, depending on which pen you use. But this is really putting me in the fall mood. I'm really enjoying it. And it is one of those little things that's just giving me a lot of happiness today. And so I've been using this on my desk quite often. So we'll set this aside right now, let it dry. It's still a little ink on there. But speaking of pens, I'm going to set this guy aside too. I want to talk about this guy. And for some of you, this one is a staple. You're very well familiar with the Uni-pin. But I thought it was worth bringing up today, not only because I'm using it a lot this week, but I do still get a lot of questions about what is the best pen to use when you're writing on those transparent sticky notes, or even vellum paper. In fact, I've got some vellum paper right now, and I will just do a little sample writing on this. So what makes this pen, special is that it's oil-based ink. And that oil-based ink is going to dry really quickly, and therefore it's not going to smear on things like vellum paper, which I have right here, or on a transparent sticky note, which I'll take out in a minute. But as you can see, very smooth, no smearing, beautiful, beautiful writing experience. And so this writes very well on vellum paper, which I have right now. Vellum paper, for those of you not familiar with that type of paper, it's kind of like tracing paper. That's the closest thing I can come to. It's probably a step or two up from that. Very beautiful, very delicate. You're probably not going to be able to write on both sides using this paper and pen combo, but you are going to have a very crisp writing experience. There's going to be no smudging, no smearing, and that goes for the transparent sticky notes, which brings me to the next product that is currently trending on my desk this week. And that product is Cloth and Paper's transparent sticky note graph paper, or the graph design. And we'll just do a little writing test here. Right, so no smudging. I mean, it dried immediately. And yes, this is transparent, so you can see through it, or probably more accurately, it's translucent. And I know a lot of problems people have when they're writing on this paper with other pens is that it smears or smudges. So for comparison, let me just find a gel pen here. I've never tested this out, so maybe we'll discover another pen that works for this, or maybe this will accurately show you what I'm trying to demonstrate. So this is, see, this is, I believe this has gel ink in it. It's a Sarasa, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it has gel ink in it. And so as you can see, that does not dry very quickly. It will smudge very easily, but the Uni-pin, no issues. And so this is the perfect pen. I keep saying pin because it's spelled P-I-N, for transparent sticky notes. And so I'm just kind of killing two birds with one stone, talking about this pen that I use quite often. And then, of course, my current favorite transparent sticky note set, which I like just because it adds a little variety to my planner system. Nothing against the normal matte sticky notes, but there's just something a little special about the graph paper and the transparent or translucent image that comes with it, or at least this particular set. So this is also giving me a little bit of joy this week. And then the final item on my desk that I'm using a lot lately is Cloth and Paper's half-page graph insert. And what I really like about this, like I had mentioned earlier, I have a lot of long-term projects going on right now, and that means I'm not checking things off my to-do list right away. Like some of the items are sitting there week after week, day after day. And so this has been sort of like a nice extension to my notes section, in that I can kind of keep a living list right on this page. And I don't need a whole page to keep a list for many of the things I'm working on. I can show you right here. Whoops. I'm currently using this in my work planner. So I've got a few like I said, these are long-term projects. These have been sitting on the sticky note page for weeks. And as they come off and are completed, I'll mark them off. But the great thing about these is that when I started writing these, it was, let's see, I've probably discarded. Oh no, I didn't. So when I started writing these, it was actually, believe it or not, August. But instead of writing it on my daily planner and then copying any incomplete tasks onto the next page, I just write them on this half-page insert and then switch them to the current day or week. And then they just move through my planner until I can cross them off and until they're done. And I love these just for the functionality, the little space that they take up in my planner, and the way that you can just move them from week to week, especially for these long-term projects that are not finishing up right away. So this has been giving me a lot of joy, just in that it keeps me organized and prevents me from having a lot of headaches. It just is easy to use and very, very functional. So that's just a quick tour of what's currently trending on my desk this week. Nothing's fancy, but it does make life a lot easier. It makes a big difference in my mood and how I approach my days and my work. And like I said, it's just the little things that are bringing me joy this week. And so I'm using them and I'm getting a lot of use out of these. But in summary, that is it until the next week when the products will probably change. But as always, thank you for joining me today. I could talk about stationery and planner products forever, but I just love having an audience that gets it. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you joining me today. And until next time, friends, enjoy your planner and stationery products.